Daniel's wondering, why do elephants have tusks? Well, like their nose, they've evolved those tusks, so they're actually specialized teeth. And those teeth are there for fighting as well as for they use them as a tool to strip bark off trees. They even sometimes will use their tusks to help them pull grass out of the ground. So it's a specialized tool that they have evolved. Okay, on the other side here quickly. These little ones are being very cute, charging and chasing each other around. And there we go, we're about to be surrounded by elephants again. We've got them passing on both sides of us. And a lot of people think elephants are very dangerous. But if you know how to read their behavior and you stay calm and you can even talk to them. Hello, Ellies. What's going on? Everything good? Good. So it's all about reading their behavior. And if you stay calm, they generally stay calm. And you can see, you can have amazing experiences with them. There's no sign of them being upset at all by our presence. They're just carrying on doing what they would do even if we weren't here. Stopping for a quick snack. Now, sometimes teenagers like this get a little bit curious about us, but this one doesn't look like it's curious at all today. It's going to keep walking past. Oh, to you too. That was a funny trumpet. We got one last Ellie going past us. Another big female. Off she goes. Wasn't that wonderful, spending time with a nice big herd of elephants? I think I'm going to go look for some more lions now. So we're going to let the Ellies wander off, and we're going to wander off to where I had lots of lions this morning, and they were quite hungry, so maybe they might be on the move looking for dinner. So while I go try and find some kitty cats that are wide awake, it seems like Jamie's are still having a nap.
Our cats are still very much taking a nap. They are obviously very, very sleepy this afternoon, and even though it has cooled down considerably, there's been not all that much movement. The good news is that I thought I could only see 3 until the 4th one made an appearance in front of the lioness. So we've actually got 4 that I can see. 4 lions here. Now what I'm hoping, when I last saw this pride, there were 2 big females, so 2 adult females, and 4 cubs. At the moment, the 2 big females are here. That's one of the lionesses, the adult lionesses, and I can see 2 cubs. Hopefully the other 2 are hiding somewhere in the grass here. Now, we've spoken already about migration and the fact that lots and lots of wildebeest came through this area. Now, you can imagine that for these lions, when that happens, it's a really, really good time for them, because it's easy for them to catch their dinner, or their breakfast, or their lunch, or whatever it is, at whatever time of day it happens to be. So it's an especially good time to have cubs as well, because there's so much food around. Right, now since our lions aren't up to all that much at the moment, I think what we should do is should send you back across to an animal that James has found that likes to lie in the sun to warm up.
Now, what we call a monitor lizard, a water monitor lizard, in amongst that grass. He was standing out in the open, but then he disappeared into the bushes. I'm going to move, and if we lose signal briefly, don't worry, it should come back. He's just in here, in these bushes there, where Fergus is showing you. There he is. I can see him.
Okay, so much for that idea. Sorry about that, everyone. James has disappeared off your screens. It's one of those things that happens. So bringing you live safaris, sometimes things go not wrong, but they just have moments where they don't work so well. But we're still here and we're still with our lions. I can promise you something, they have not gone anywhere. One lioness lying with her belly up to the sky, foot in the air. Come on, you lot, it's nice and cool now. A very, very good question from Jade, who wants to know, why do the lions sleep in the tall grass? Does it make them itchy? Does it irritate them? And the answer is no, because their skin is very tough and they've got thick, thick fur that covers it, so it doesn't bother them at all. But sometimes you can see when they're lying on top of a tree or something, they get a little bit uncomfortable and they get up and move. But I've even seen them lie underneath thorn trees. So their skin is much tougher than ours is, and it doesn't bug them nearly as much. The flies do a little bit, but essentially lying in the grass, well, there's not that many places they can go and lie. The roads are really muddy at the moment, so they don't really want to go and lie in mud. Whereas the grass, it's not soft, but at least it's dry. So they'll either be lying in the grass like this. It also helps to hide them. So something that perhaps they want to hunt could easily walk into this area and not see them. You can, I mean, they're basically invisible, and we're right next to them. So you can imagine how hard it would be to spot them. Now, the amazing things about the lions here that I've noticed is that a lot of the time they actually like to lie in the sun. Whereas the lions in South Africa, because in where you've met James and you've met Noel, it gets much hotter there. So they like to lie in the shade. But the Mara lions seem to like the sun. And they're often lying right out, even at the hottest time of the day. But it does make finding them really tricky. Oh, Ariana, very good question. Now, Ariana's wondering if all lions have the same color fur. Mostly yes, and the reason they have that color fur is we've just spoken about how they like to be in the long grass. That color fur helps to hide them, helps to camouflage them. But you do get slight differences. Some lions are darker, some lions are more pale. Within this pride, there is a cub that is very pale when you compare her to a normal colored lion. There's also a type of lion that's been called a white lion, and you only find them, or you only find them in South Africa, in the Timbavati region. So that's close to where James and Noel are, and they have something called leucism. Now, that's just a genetic difference within them that makes them very pale, almost with white fur and blue eyes. So it's not quite albinism. Now, albinism is where there's no pigment, when the animal has no pigment at all. That's when they have bright red eyes. Maybe you've seen mice or rats that look like that. So albinism is where there's no color, but this is something called leucism, and they are white lions. Some male lions have dark-colored manes. Some male lions have blonde manes. Usually, obviously genetics plays a role, just like you might have dark hair or your friend might have blonde hair. But for male lions, the healthier they are, the darker their manes are. Now, our lions are hiding away deep in the grass. Let's go and find out if Noel, back in South Africa, has a better view of one of our very special lion prides.
So we did a double count again because some of the lions have moved. So we actually have all 5 of the adult females with the Nkuhumas here. The one that Vildi is so nicely panning out from at the moment, you can see her teats at the back and how they're wet around the nipple. That means that she is lactating. So this is the one that we haven't seen much of because she's got smaller cubs. The smaller cubs are not here, unfortunately, but I think the plan for us is to sort of stick with the Nkuhumas as long as we can. We haven't been seeing as many lions as we would like on Djuma at the moment, and so I am keen to see, they're definitely hungry if they hunt, or maybe if we can get some action with her going back to fetch her youngsters. But for now, after a little drink, they're now flat, flat, flat and sleeping away. It's not hot anymore, but it is humid. So I would give them another sort of half an hour before they start getting moving to the point where they're actually going to get up and go. Sebastian, you're curious if a lion is a saber-toothed tiger. Now, Sebastian, as far as I know, but I could stand corrected on this, saber-toothed tigers went extinct some few million years ago. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's some genetic similarities between a lion and a saber-toothed tiger, but I don't think that they're very closely related in any way. Yes, both large cats, and this is a remaining large cat, but I do not think that they're directly related straight down the line. I think maybe on one of the branches of the many branches off of the evolutionary tree, they might possibly have some sort of common ancestor along the way. But now that I'm saying that out loud as well as Sebastian, I have a feeling that the saber-toothed tigers tend to be more in colder climates. So I would actually think that maybe tigers from parts of Asia would be more related than, say, this lion. Those would be my thoughts, Sebastian. Yes, the sun's come out nicely. You could see nicely there when Vildi zoomed in on the paws, how you can see where the claws come in and out. Xavier, you're curious to know why lions are so big. That's a super interesting question. So, Xavier, of the big cats in the world, the tiger is the largest. We don't get any tigers naturally occurring in Africa. And then the lion would be the second largest cat worldwide. So, Xavier, my thought is that because everything needs to fit a niche within its habitat, so it's got a special little spot that it needs to be in, that the lion fulfills that special spot that relates to taking down larger prey, not always, but especially with a group like this, a pride like this. And to take down larger prey, not only do you need larger numbers, but also having a larger body shape helps. So that would be my guess as to why they are as big as they are. There might be another reason why. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts as to why? I'd be interested to know. Kenneth, you're curious to know if there's any predators that chase lions. So, Kenneth, when lions are in a pride of this size, you might get another pride of lions that would chase these lions. I've seen large clans of spotted hyenas chasing lions, but not necessarily in a pride as large as this. But that being said, I've seen a pride of about 12 being chased around by a hyena clan of about 25, and so that had a lot to do with numbers. I've seen a single lioness chased away from a kill by a huge pack of wild dogs. The pack of wild dogs was probably 35 in number. And when I say wild dogs, I mean the African painted wolf, not dogs that were domesticated and then went and lived in the wild. And I have seen lion chasing leopard up trees, male lion, and then I've seen a young female lion and a leopard having an interaction. Neither really ran away. The lioness was slightly bigger than the big male leopard. But in general, lions are the biggest thing out here as far as predators go. But again, numbers and sexes of the lion do dictate. They do tell how the scenario is going to go between themselves and other predators. Good questions, everybody. I love these questions. You must keep them coming. I know that you guys are dealing a little bit with migration at school. So something that's interesting about lions is lions don't migrate. They have territories, and then around that is a home range, and they stay within those territories and home range. Ariana, you're wondering why the lions twitch their ears so much. There's flies that are bothering them, Ariana, so that's why they're twitching. So they're trying to have a bit of a nap, and the flies keep going into their ears, so they're twitching them away. So now the only time that you would see lions moving far outside of a territory or their home range is if, like these lions, the young ones, the teenagers, when they grow up, if for some reason the pride does not want them around, and most specifically for the males, they'll get kicked away, and then they have to grow up a little bit and then go find their own territory. And sometimes they can move very large distances, and sometimes they'll move small distances. It's not quite a migration, but it is a movement. It also helps with the genetics. So the DNA of the lions is then moved farther afield and helps keep the diversity, so the different types of genes, fluid, which means that more genes means less chances of a bad type of trait popping up and taking over. Oh, there's a lovely little breeze coming through. So now I was saying earlier they might start moving sort of in a half hour or so. With sun coming out like this, it means they'll probably stay sleeping a little bit longer. I have a feeling that this lioness just here had a fly that flew up her nose because she just picked up her head snorting out. So we might get lucky and she might decide that she's irritated enough to give us a little bit of movement, or she might just decide to lie back down. All right, Glenwood Elementary, thank you all so much for joining us. As always, it was absolutely fantastic. We are going to say goodbye to you, but we hope that you join us again. And while we say goodbye, let's head on over to James, who has something that these lions might want to eat.
And back to your regular questions. So it's wonderful that we're able to share those moments with such young kids and that they have such an incredible interest. So what I was trying to do was shuffle around so that we could see the lions better without my silly shadow in the way. But all I've done is make things 10 times worse. But I can tell you in that process that we've definitely got 3 lions over there, four I think, and 1 over there. So we've managed the 5 of the 6 Sausage Tree Pride members. That'll do. I can't get much closer because she's over there. We'll just have to wait for them to get up. We have to be patient. So we've got 5 out of 6. That's a good start. I don't know where the 6th is, but it could so easily be somewhere here. And as I said, we're going to play the patience game a little bit because I'm desperate to see if all members of this pride are here, and I want to see how much bigger the little pale lioness has got. Since it's been, for me, over a month since I last saw them. Because I was on leave for 2 weeks, I haven't seen them in the 2 weeks that I've been back. I'm not even sure when I saw them before I went on leave, so it could be well over a month since I last saw them. And I know how quickly those cubs grow up. I want to see how big she's got. All of them, but she's special. Okay, so while we wait patiently for our lions to stand up and hopefully lead us on an adventure, Brent has had all of the rhino luck this afternoon. He's found some more for you.
Well, we're being spoiled. This is the, well, in total, 6th rhino. I've seen 6 rhino today. Nice to see a little group together. And a bit closer than the last ones that were far away. Now, I'm slowly making my way back towards the Angama Pride, and we just happened to catch these rhino in that brilliant golden light. So, absolutely fantastic to see the rhino all together. Now, the most black rhino I've ever seen in one group is 5. So, it looks like they've been having a really good time in the mud today. You see there's an oxpecker on the middle one. Quite common on a lot of the bigger animals. Mary says they look so prehistoric. Well, Mary, they are not that prehistoric, as we're discussing a lot of the sort of ages of animals earlier today. Not even as old as an impala yet. Looks like they're having a little meeting. Mr. P is wondering, do I know how old these rhinos are? I don't, unfortunately, Mr. P. Once they are adults, they are very difficult to age. But they are, well, the one on the far left looks to be slightly younger, but again, quite difficult. I would say it looks, the one, his nose up at us at the moment on the left, looks a little younger, but I say it's very difficult to age rhino once they are out of the baby stage. Giving us a good sniff. They are incredibly stunning animals. We're very spoilt to see them as often as we do in the Mara. Okay, well, I'm going to keep heading towards the Angamas because it's that time of the day when they might get up on the move and on the hunt again. While we do that, let's go across to Commander Bond, who's near a body of water.
Thanks very much. Hello everybody, we are live here at Chitwa Dam. I was just on the Game Drive radio there finding out about your very favourite characters and mine, none of which I'm afraid we are going to be able to see. At the moment we have got Hosana on Little Gari, we've got Kuchava on Little Gari, we've got Shadow on Little Gari, and Shadow's cub, whose name is not Barbara, also on Little Gari. Little Gari, a leopard festival day today, apparently. That leaves us with Tamba around here, so we might get lucky with him. I'm just quickly going to talk on the radio again, and go ahead. He's saying that there was audio of a leopard. In other words, they could hear a leopard north of the Gari main road. Okay, copy, thanks, I'll check that out. Sounds like north of the Molwanini, which is the drainage line that runs into Chitwa, into this very dam. And so maybe it was Tundi in her old stomping ground. We don't want her in her old stomping ground, we want her in her new stomping ground because it's where we can go. So nice big pod of hippos, having a relaxed afternoon, gorgeous light, perfect temperature, very nice pleasant breeze, some rain in the offing perhaps with these lovely clouds that are coming in. It's one of those glorious afternoons that makes you feel all is right with the world and deeply, deeply thankful not to be sitting in an office or driving home in the traffic. Not so, Fergus. Indeed. Now, we also have in front of us a pied wagtail. Good afternoon, pied wagtail. Yes, you're a very fine looking fellow. Then we have got a number of swallows, barn swallows, recently arrived from the various parts of Europe. What was that? From the but it's almost impossible to tell what's going on. There's a great swarm of them flying around in the sky. Yeah, looks like a house martin. Sorry about losing the picture for a while, everybody. I'm not sure what happened there. We shouldn't have it. Everything should be perfectly stable where we are here. Maybe it was a Kenya problem. We are broadcasting from South Africa to Kenya to you. Now, Fergus, they're landing on the bank there. That'll give us a much better idea of what they are. This is fascinating. Very nice question here. I'm just going to try and identify those swallows. You can see there is no colouring on the throat. The question was, what is the most romantic animal? Is that correct? Well, apparently Jamie said birds. Well, there's quite a few. I would struggle. I would love for you to ask Jamie if she thinks a marabou stork is romantic, for example. I would imagine not. The most romantic animal. That's a very interesting question. Yes, I suppose there are many romantic bird species. The mammals are very unromantic. Deeply unromantic, in fact. I'm trying to think of something unusual, like a, I don't know, a spider, perhaps, or no, I think Jamie's right. I think the romance displayed by the Wahlberg's eagle couples that we have are definitely some of the most romantic, what should we say, actions or activities I've seen out here. I think what we're looking at there, everybody, is a common house martin, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just quickly going to check through the rest of the swallows. It could also be no, there couldn't be wire-tailed swallows. There are just too many of them. No, but I'm talking rubbish. I'll tell you why they're not common house martins. Because the back of their heads, while you look at those wagtails, had a little bit of red on them. All right, while I try and discover what they were, let's go back over to Noel.
Hi guys, we have this little female. She started rolling around and then noticed that there was a tortoise and she stalked it, and now she's busy playing with it. And I've seen young females like this before, pick them up and bring them over to their mums. I've seen them play around with them with their siblings. So I just wanted to have a quick look and see if maybe she will do something similar for us this afternoon. It's basically the movement that attracted her. And at this age, any movement, mongoose, tortoise, birds, it's all very interesting. Now, the tortoise in general is interesting because she can see it crawling on the ground, and she can see that it's small, and so that she knows that she can possibly have her way with it. Oh, look, it looks like she's picking it up. Oh, how very cool. Now the tortoise tried to get away. Now she's got it, fortunately we just got her backside, but she's got it between her two front paws now. And I'll be interested to see if any of her siblings wake up and watch her. There's a beautiful little yawn. Wake up and watch her and possibly get interested and maybe want to come and join her. Now she's bored with the tortoise, who's most likely hiding completely inside of his shell. So she's chewing on that thorn bush. Now she's back to the tortoise. Mia, you're curious if the lion will actually eat the tortoise. Oh, she's got it in her mouth. Here she's up. Mia, the shell is very hard, so it would be very difficult for her to bite through that shell. But let's see what happens now. One of her siblings is awake and is interested in what she's doing. It's watching her come a little bit closer. Oh, this is absolutely fantastic. Now the tortoise has let go of its bursa sac. We've talked about the bursa sac before. It's a special sac of water that they let go either to wet the earth to lay their eggs, or when a predator is busy with it to try and deter. Now I would bet that there we go. Now she's going to go right in amongst her siblings, and she's going to play around with this tortoise and do her best. There, she's licking off the fluid from the bursa sac. I bet that she's going to do her best to make her siblings a little bit jealous, and as long as the tortoise keeps moving, she'll stay interested. So whenever she stops playing with it or licking it, the tortoise might try and put out its limbs and get away, and then she'll of course go for it again. Everyone, welcome to our action broadcast. We have a little teenage lioness who has found a small tortoise. She stalked it, and then she played with it, and then she picked it up in her mouth, and she's brought it over to her siblings, and her siblings are starting to wake up a bit, so she's got it in between her paws right now. This is absolutely fantastic. It's so amazing. While you're busy watching us live on this action broadcast, don't forget, from whatever platform you're on, we are live, so you can send through questions however you like. Look, there oh, now she's chewing on a stick. So now she's pretending to not be interested in her tortoise. Now, the tortoise there, you can just see it under the paws there. Thanks, Vildy. So she's got it tight there. Oh, you can see her claws coming out. Remember, with a lion, the claws are always sheathed, as opposed to a cheetah, whose claws are always out. There we go. Oh, beautiful. Now, she can't bite through that shell as we talked about earlier, but she is doing her best to try and access the tortoise. It's not that she necessarily wants to eat the tortoise. It has more of the fact that it was moving and it caught her attention, and then the tortoise also let go its bursa sac, and then that caused her caught her attention. Boo, you're saying poor tortoise. Yes, Boo, I would agree, but everything that this lioness is doing, all of the interactions, all of the movements, is all for gaining access to muscle memory for when she's older, and also curiosity like this with a young female is very, very, very neat, because she's going to be attracted not only to things like tortoises, but to anything that is small that she can possibly access. I've seen lionesses and young male lions this age and a little bit older catch things like aardvark. Now this is also the age where the mums are going to start doing things like catching impalas, especially young impalas or warthogs, and not killing them, but letting their youngsters sort of work on their techniques and their skills and honing all of those muscles. And it's interesting because she's a little bit bored with her tortoise now, but she's not allowing it to escape anywhere, and she doesn't want her siblings to get it, and she doesn't want the tortoise to get away. So now she's it's not displacement behavior, but it's just because she's getting a bit bored. She was chewing on that stick. Now it looks like the tortoise tried to move, and so she's busy chewing on that shell again. It's a very hard shell. And then I think she's back to her stick a little bit because she got a bit of a thorn stuck in there. There's a yawn. Now when lions yawn, it means they're going to start getting active. Now that activity could be just moving and lying again, or it could be really starting to move. And because this lioness already got up and moved over towards this tortoise, and is still actively playing around the tortoise in her paws, I would guess with these yawns, she is definitely going to start moving a little bit more just now. I once watched a lioness not older than this picking up sticks out of the water this way. So another interesting species that young lions like this will go for, that are moving along the ground, is something like a pangolin. So a pangolin, we have any viewers from the States, a pangolin is like an armadillo, but it's got a very, very hard outside, a hard shell, and it will roll into a circle, and they can't get into that shell, just like they can't get into this tortoise shell, as we mentioned earlier. Oh, then she's up. See, the tortoise hasn't really moved. Now she's going to try to get it to move. There she flips it over. You can just see the legs have been drawn in, the arms have been, all sets of the legs have been drawn in, the head's been drawn in, so she's turning it over to see if she can maybe get any access, but without having fingers like us, it's very hard for her. So her tongue, through that crevice, can feel a bit of the tortoise's skin. And then you can see she's trying to get her teeth in there, but now lions don't chew with their front teeth, they chew with their molars. It works like a scissor. It's called a carnassial shear. So all of her body actions here are very normal for a lion. She's going to lick, and then if it had skin, she would pull with her front teeth and then chew with her side teeth, but she can't do that. The shell is too hard. Boo, you're curious if she can break a canine. Boo, she's pretty aware that this is a hard species that she's eating, so the chances of her biting hard enough to break the canine are small. Not that they can't break a tooth, of course things like that can happen, but also where the canines sit, especially when they've got young, strong teeth like what she has right now, it's a little bit harder to break those canines off. Denise, you're curious to know if she'll be able to kill it. Denise, I've seen this, I've been lucky enough, I should say, to see this several times. I've never seen them get into a tortoise of this age. When tortoises are much, much, much younger, their shells are not as hard. And then I've seen them eating those little ones as they come out. But no, I doubt she'll be able to kill it. She might be able to do enough damage that it might hurt a limb. But you can see she's really struggling to get into that side. I mean, she's even getting mud stuck in there. Well, it's soil that's then getting wet, turning into a bit of mud. She's struggling. It's more of the curiosity and the fact that she likes to play rather than really wanting to eat it. And when she gets annoyed enough that she can't get in there, she's going to leave it, and maybe one of her siblings will pick it up. But for now, it holds enough interest that she's going to try now. This to me looks like a hinged back tortoise. You can just see the little tiny hinge there on the top left hand side. It looks like a bit of a corner almost, a slight sort of obtuse corner. I'm not quite sure at this moment which hinged back. I know we get Speaks here, and we get, I wonder if we get Labatzi hinged. I'll have to triple check for everybody. I don't know if you guys are enjoying this as much as I am, but this is really, really fun lioness behavior. Deanna, you're curious to know if she'll play with it like a ball? Well, because the tortoise isn't round, she can't roll it, but she has been flipping it back and forth with her paws. I'll be interested to see if she stands back up again and sort of bats it between her paws a little bit, but obviously it's not going to roll too much, it'll just move slightly. Now, just to her left, it's a little bit hard for us to show you with the camera because there's a lot of bushes, but some of her siblings are really starting to take notice in what she's doing. You can just see them starting to move there. So I'm going to be curious to see if we maybe get a tug of war out of this situation. Maria, this young female looks to be just under a year to me, maybe just slightly over a year. I am still getting to know the Nkuhumas. They're not with us all the time, but that would be my guess, is probably just under a year. I don't know if there's any viewers that are out there who watch with us every single day and keep track of the lion prides. I know that there's a few of you out there. Maybe you can let me know when the two sets of litters from the Nkuhumas were born, the older sets. Roshni, good question. You're curious to know if it's a leopard tortoise. So leopard tortoises, Roshni, don't have that hinge at the back. So no, it's as far as I can see, I'm going to say no on the leopard tortoise. It is covered in quite a bit of soil and it is stuck between the paws. But from what I could see, also it's a very long sort of oval shaped that's much more flat. A leopard tortoise would be more dome shaped, slightly more round. Young male's got a little bit of a yawn going on, so he's starting to get a bit more active, and he's been watching his sibling. I'm going to say sibling because they look roughly the same age, but it could also be a sibling cousin. Lions inbreed up to 10 generations, so a lot of the females are either sisters or grandmothers or cousins or a mixture of all of them. And they could possibly have the same dad, but the males that I believe are the fathers of these ones, I believe it's the Birmingham, similar to the Sticks, but we can check. Oh, wait. Is he going to get interested enough to come over? There's that cat stretch we talked about earlier, just like your house cats at home. Oh, and then the backward stretch, the little sort of down dog move. Let's see what happens. Okay, so what happened there is he tried. The sister was like, nope, not a chance. She covered it, and then now he's doing what's called submissive behavior. He's trying to lie down lower than her. He put his neck out, and she's actually telling him, buddy, this is mine. And that grabbing of the neck right there, showing her dominance over him in this particular scenario. Absolutely fantastic behavior right there. Denise, the pride name Nkuhuma is the Shangaan word for name for the brown ivory tree. And the story I was told, shame, she doesn't want to be near her brother. The story I was told is that they were first either seen or born underneath a brown ivory tree. If you just say Nkuhuma without the n sound at the beginning, it means to enter a doorway or to enter. And Herbie and I were chatting about this. Herbie is one of our trackers. We were chatting about this the other day, and he was saying, as far as he knows, that it is definitely Nkuhuma, which is a brown ivory tree. Shame. Now he's very despondent, and his sister won't play with him or share her plaything. Now the other two are getting up and stretching as well, so they're probably going to make their way towards this young male and young female. Maybe a bit of greeting. They like to reaffirm their social bond by touching and grooming, and basically it's like a hug and saying I love you. This one here is just smelling where the other two were moving about with that tortoise. I can hear Leopard calling in the background. I'm not quite sure if you all could hear that. Ooh, bless you. So now they're waking up movements. I've spent a lot of time with lions guiding, but also doing some research. Their movements waking up remind me a lot of human movements. There's stretching, there's yawns, that sneeze. We groom ourselves as well in the morning. We go and look in the mirror. Shame, this female has now even alerted the other young male to the back there. Everybody's getting interested in this plaything. All starting to get moving here, and they're all sort of inching closer to her. That one that just laid down is sort of pretending not to be interested in that tortoise, but is definitely interested. All right, everybody, how fantastic all of that interaction with the tortoise and the young female chewing on it and chewing on her stick, and then the young male coming up and trying, and the submissive dominance behavior between the two. Absolutely incredible. I'm so glad you could join us for our action broadcast. Hope you enjoyed. Stick with us. We're still on YouTube chat and also on Twitter, and don't forget, live and interactive. Okay, well, I hope you all enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed that. That little lions playing with things like tortoises are always amusing. Now we've got all of these sub-adults and juveniles. Or let's just stick with sub-adults for now. All these sub-adults definitely moving and yawning and grooming and getting ready to go. The lionesses are not quite ready yet. As you can see, still lying down, still cooling off a little bit. All right, now from lions here in South Africa, let's head up to lions in the Masai Mara with Brent.
Well, long-distance lions is what I'd call them. The Ungama Pride, not far from where I left them this morning. It doesn't look like they've had any success in chomping on bacon this evening. So we decided, as it was getting cooler, to come sit near where they were, see if they were going to get up and on the move. Alas, not yet. But as we know, when you're alive in the African bush, that can change in a split second. And we can see Musiara Gate in the background and some of the Maasai villages outside of the park. Isn't it incredible we're able to see such distance out here? Your eyes have to be on top form to spot lions often. Fortunately, a lot of the cats, lions and cheetah do like to use a good vantage point in terms of a termite mound to sit up on, making them a little bit easier to spot. Mia is wondering which male lions rule over the Angama Pride. It's the Chitwa Tembo or Triangle Boys. They rule over the Angama, the Olololo or Marsh Breakaways. I always get confused between those two. The Mara River Pride and the Little Sausage Pride that Jamie is with. So they've got quite a few different prides. Not in a particularly big area, probably around 10,000 hectares or so, which is... or maybe even a little bit less, 8,000 or so hectares. Now, it has become quite chilly here, and Lily, don't worry, I've put on my red blanket. It's very warm, so I'm not cold at all, so you don't have to worry about me tonight. But, as I say, we're going to keep sitting here with these lions, and there's always... there we go, one lioness is up. What has she seen? The one... she just came down the termite mound quite quickly. Has she spotted some potential food? Or is she just decided enough lazing about? What did you see? I'm just going to have a quick look. Cheetah is wondering, do other animals ever attack sleeping lions? It's possible elephants might chase them. Is that another lion? It is another lion. Well spotted, Craig. maybe that's what she was going to go run and play with another Pride member. Elephants might chase them. A hippo, a rhino. What else? Oh, that's about it. Really, the thing that attacks sleeping lions the most is other lions. Nomadic males or dominant males coming, or males trying to take over an area. Those are the animals that attack other lions the most. It is lions. There's a few heads up. There's also still a few lazy lions about there. Guts is wondering, what do lions use their tails for? Quite a few different things. But mostly their tails are used for a bit of balance, also for communication and following. That black tip to the tail can be very, very useful for lions to see what the other lion is up to or thinking. Lions use a lot of non-visual communication cues, especially while hunting, so they don't have to, the visual communication cues, audible communication cues, as to not give away their presence. A friend of mine is actually busy doing quite a large paper about the visual communication in cooperative hunters. So not only lions, but in hyenas, wild dogs, so any of the predators that is a cooperative hunter. Y Bench would like to know between which animal is stronger, the tiger or the lion. The tiger is much stronger. It's much bigger. A male tiger can get close to 400 kilograms. A male lion, a very big one, is 210, 220. So the tiger is much bigger and much stronger. Of course, there's actually no parts of the world where tigers and lions occur naturally together. However, tigers and lions both do occur in India. There are no tigers in the Gir forest, only lions. Well, we're going to sit here to see what this lot get up to. While we do that, let's go across to see what the small sausage pride is up to with Jamie.
Would you believe it? They've just been so busy. I mean, one of them rolled over, one of them flopped in a different piece of grass that wasn't quite as warm. It's been all go, go, go here with our little sausage tree pride. There's definitely 4 lions hiding in that clump over there, and there's a 5th one off to the right. As to whether or not the 6th one is here, I'm getting to the point where I think we might not find out, because I've sat with the sausage tree pride, and I have seen them sleep like professionals right up until that foot was funny. Oh, it just rolled over. This is this toe in the air. I've sat with them and I've seen them sleep until 1 o'clock in the morning. So I know that they can sleep like champions, like all lions can. I don't see anything around for them to hunt, so we're probably going to say goodbye to the sausages and perhaps try again tomorrow. We're out all day tomorrow, so hopefully we catch up with them, see them get up to something. There's some scary looking weather blowing in. It's difficult to really put into perspective for all of you guys, but I think, given that's our camp, I think it might be time for us to run home and find ourselves nice and dry before the storm hits. So as we race off, let us send you back across to the Djuma team, who will be keeping you entertained for another hour of the Sunset Safari.
What are his screechy little skinny necks? Hello everyone, we're sitting with some waterbucks and I was just commenting on the fact that they have rather skinny necks. There we go. Now, there was some mention of a leopard calling around here somewhere. Noel heard it calling somewhere around here. Taxon is hearing it in a different area, so there is some sort of confusion as to where it might be, unless they're two calling, which is possible, but it's quite unusual for a leopard to be calling this time of the day. That's interesting. I think we're going to hang around here. Sounds like he's coming to the west. Let's go on to Cheetah Cut Line, which is the road just to the northern side of here. I'm going to pop up this road here. Unless we find something very special at that pan. No. I think it is the same one that they've both heard. And Noel's a long way from here, and Taxon's inside Torchwood here. And he says he reckons it's somewhere close coming this way. So let's look, unless it's going that way, but he says he reckons it's coming this way. We're just going to drive up the road a little bit here and then we'll wait. Alright, Noel has still got the world's hardiest tortoise surrounded by a few lions. So let's go and see if they're eating.
Welcome back, everybody. So, interestingly enough, we were talking earlier about, is this lioness going to be able, this sub-out, be able to break through the shell? I've never seen it happen, but then, true as Bob, 2 minutes ago, we hear this crack. So it looks like she's able to weaken a corner of it enough to be able to snap off a little part of it. And then Vildi was telling me he's seen a lioness from this pride once crack a Speaks hinged tortoise shell before, which, again, I've never encountered. So it just goes to show you that, a lot of what we do is experience, and so Vildi's had an experience slightly different from mine that's resulted in them able to pull out the tortoise's body, and she's managed to just get enough of a little, you can actually see the part she's broken off there, where it is entirely possible that she might be able to get this tortoise's body out. So I am just absolutely fascinated as you all most likely are as well. I learned something, not necessarily learn, but I see something different every single day. And this behavior of hers to keep gnawing at this tortoise, even though it's hard, has a lot to do with the fact that there's siblings and cousins around who want access to this tortoise, and so she's really worried it enough. She's worried that shell enough that where she's been able to break it open slightly on the edge, and now she knows that, and her tongue can feel the inside a bit more with that tortoise, which is now giving her more consternation to keep going with what she's doing. Absolutely fantastic. Let's see what happens here. Another sibling's trying to get into the tortoise, so she's not really letting him, but now notice how different her behavior is to this one compared to that other male. Now, she might stay in a good mood, she might change her mind and turn into a bad mood again and do that dominant submissive behaviors that we saw earlier. Also, she might try and interact a little bit more aggressively with this one, and this one, if he also reacts more aggressively, then it will change the scenario. We'll just have to wait and see. She's sort of ignoring him, but notice putting more of the tortoise in her mouth, covering up her paws a little bit more over the tortoise. The best way I could equate this is if you have a sibling or a cousin that's around about the same age as you, and you have a bunch of biscuits, you have a bunch of cookies, and you don't want to share them, sort of bringing them into your arms and turning your head and eating them sideways. That's the best way I can think of to describe this. One of the adult lionesses is up. also with quite heavy teats. She's also definitely nursing and has not eaten recently. Now, because this one lioness has stood up and started moving, this other lioness is alert. Now, she might just move and lie down right here, which is what it looks like is going to happen. Right next door to our older female that has that injury on her back left haunch. That injury is still looking like it's healing. It was covered a little bit in sand earlier when we saw it. It's on her backside, so we'll have to wait for her to turn over. But slowly but surely, we're getting movement out of the adults, and this young lioness, this sub-adult lioness, is really juvenile slash sub-adult. The reason why I keep going back and forth between the two is that they're at that funny crux of an age where they're just getting past juvenile and just getting into sub-adult. So we can just put a slash in there. There's 2 pregnant females here for sure. The other pregnant female is busy wandering off at the back. Well, not pregnant, sorry, lactating. See how heavily she's lactating? You can see that she's gonna have she's gonna go to the toilet. She's gonna have a poo or a wee. Sorry about that, everybody. But she's nursing, and her teats are heavy. And then I pointed out the other one just now that had the lactation rings around her nipples as well. So that we had talked, I think about 3 weeks ago. I believe it was Tristan had gotten an update from one of the guides that is farther west of us that one of the females had little ones, and then there was another update that no, now it's 2 of the females. I haven't seen yet, but Vildy's seen one of these females with smaller cubs, but I'm now guessing that there's another set of smaller cubs that we haven't seen either. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens and keep the updates going from there. Now over here with our little tortoise eating lioness, she is still protecting it from her cousin slash brother. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't here when they were younger, so I'm waiting with bated breath to see if anyone has any updates or possibly even knows the whisker markings for any of these youngsters. If not, I'm gonna definitely look through some of Tristan's old photos and see if I can come up with a bit of an ID kit for myself, and then be able to speak a little bit better about who is who in the zoo with these youngsters. Now you see she's getting to the lip, the edge of that shell, and she's really trying to worry it the same way she did with the other side and gnaw on it as best as possible. Alright, well, we're busy waiting to see what's happening with this tortoise and these lions. James has found you another big cat. Let's head on over to him.
Hi everybody, we've got a leopard here. Don't know who it is. It could easily be Mvula. Oh, he's just disappeared behind that rock. There he is. You can see his head popped up. He's just behind that rock. He's just stuck his head up. I know it's not a great view, but it is a leopard, everyone, you see. I don't know who that is. Apparently he's been calling. He doesn't look particularly relaxed though, does he? We'll just wait here. We're a good distance away from him. I'll tell you why I say he doesn't look that relaxed. He's looking at us. And at that distance, you know, that leopards we know really well, I don't think they'd bother to look at us. Any ideas from any of you would be greatly appreciated. If you have any clue who this fellow is. Isn't that wonderful? I know it's not the best view of a leopard, but isn't it special to see how many we must drive past every single day?
So we just went here.
Sorry, we're just waiting for cars to continue driving past us. All of them wondering what we're looking at. Ha 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 ha. Now, we can't go any closer. Taxon, who's in there... Kirsten apparently says this is Djuma. Is that Kirsten in final control? Oh, Kristen. Kristen, I would be interested if it was. I think it's possible. But I don't think so, because they saw Djuma this morning miles from here. And you can see also, I actually don't think he's unrelaxed, because if Ferg zooms out slightly, you'll be able to see the game drive vehicle's parked pretty close to him, and he's totally relaxed there. What I'll do is just quickly ask Taxon. He'll be able to tell us who it is. Tax, come in, Tax. Tax, which animal is this? Do you know? It's Tingana, everybody. Copy, thanks. It is old Tingana who has marched a substantial distance today, and Tax reckons that he's just having a little rest there, that he's been calling all afternoon coming down south. So we're just going to stand by right here with our beautiful view of his left ear. Imagine somebody's just tuned in and I'm going on and on about Tingana and how wonderful he is and how great to see him in a drainage line behind a rock, and all we've got is his ear. There we go, now we've got a bit more. Viam is now going to be deeply jealous, of course, because Viam is looking at the lions. He likes lions, but he really does love Tingana. Hello, fellow. Come this way. You've got thousands of people waiting to see you in all your magnificence. For those of you who are new viewers, Tingana is now... Ooh. How old is he? He must be... Can't be 11 yet, is he? I think he is. I think he's 11 now. 10 or 11. The Prince of Djuma. Here he comes. He's calling. He has sired many cubs, including Hosanna and Tamba, probably Kuchaba, who we see regularly, and, of course, Shadow's little leopard cub, who's not called Barbara. I've heard some buzzing there. I was nearly set upon by a longhorn beetle. Don't worry, everybody. I didn't flinch. Well, not more than once. Can you see him, Fergus? Or are we doing a tree ties on Albizia forbezii?
No.
He's out. Going up that way. Shall we go a little bit forward? In fact, let's just roll gently back and see if we don't get another view there. Krista, you say, why does he look so skittish? I think I've made a mistake. I don't think he is skittish. I think it was probably just the fact that he was sitting above the rock there and kind of peeking out from behind it. So I don't think he was skittish. I think it's my mistake. I think I made an error in reading his body language at that distance. He's quite far away. He's at least 100 meters or 300 feet or so. We're just going to sneak up here. We, of course, are not allowed to go into Torchwood. That's where he's sitting now. But if he crosses the road into Chitwa, well, hell, then we will be in business. They have got him. They've still got him. Can you see him, Ferg? He's coming along. He's coming this way. We must just be patient about this. Kathy, you're saying who is he calling to? Well, that's a very good question, because he's been doing it quite vociferously over the last 48 hours or so. Kathy, he's calling to all the other leopards of the area. I think he's feeling threatened by something. Some other male leopard is threatening his dominance in this area. I think it's probably Djuma who's coming down into his area. I don't think it's the presence of Hosana or Tamba. They're too small yet, I think, to be giving him any sort of worries. And so I think it's probably the presence of Djuma the leopard that is causing the problem. And so he's walking around saying, "This is my spot, don't you dare come near it or I'll give you a jolly good thrashing." Although I'm not sure he's that polite about it. And now everybody's waiting here. We'll just see if he pops out over there. There he comes. There he is. He's right on the... just coming down into the drainage now. You got him now. I'm going to keep moving back so we can give everybody space. He's coming this way. Fear not, everyone. What I don't want to do is to block his way. So we're just going to wait here, if that's all right. I hope you don't mind. We're almost certainly going to get a nice view of him. I'm just talking to Taxon. We're having a good laugh. We'll just have to wait here. I know it's a little bit frustrating, but you know we do get some wonderful views of leopards. And so we're just going to be very patient here. Stations on Ngari Main. We've got Tingana coming south along the Moronini here. Here he comes. Isn't he just spectacular? I may have to do some illegal work here. Don't tell anyone, please, everybody. Promise you won't. I won't show you a leopard again if you do. What a magnificent creature. And with any luck, we'll have him to ourselves, going into Chitwa very shortly. Hello, fellow. I'll tell you, you've got to be very brave if you're going to take him on as Djuma. This is a leopard in his prime. He's experienced, he knows what's going on. I'm going to shut up now while he walks straight past us. He's just over there. It's that spotted thing there. That's him. That's the leopard. Hello. I'm going to follow you if it's all right. Is that okay? Thank you, I think I will. You just move back. There's going to be a great... Hello, how are you? We're just live. Good to see you. It's fascinating. I've just seen people I know on the back of the car there. I'm just going to stop here because what I don't want to do is get in everybody else's way. Most people are not going to be able to follow him in here. Any station, Chitwa, copy me? Alright, we're going to carry on, try and get a better view of this beautiful leopard. While we do that, let's go back to Noel and the world's hardiest, well, now dead tortoise.
James, well done at finding my nemesis leopard. I'm so happy to hear you're getting a great sighting. We have a lot of very active and interested lions at the moment, but much to my amazing disbelief, I can't even find words, this female has managed to crack into part of this shell, not just the edge like we were talking about earlier, but Vildi said even just now that he could see a hole in the middle, so she's really done a job on this tortoise. I've never seen them be able to get into a tortoise shell like this, especially the younger ones, and I am over the moon with this sighting. It is absolutely fantastic. I hope you all are enjoying this as much as I am. Let's just listen for a minute. Could you hear her gnawing on it just there? I'm hoping to get a little bit of a crack noise. The next time I hear her starting to really get in there, I'll get quite quiet and oh, there we go. Can we hear that? Now she hasn't managed to get the actual tortoise out, but look, oh, you can see it there. Look what she's managed to do. It's absolutely amazing. Now, possibilities as to why, in my head, might be that it's an older Speaks hinged, might be that. It might just be that she managed to find a little bit of a weak point, and it might be like Vildy was saying earlier, he's seen an adult lioness from here take one of these hinged tortoises and really do a number. So maybe it's just the hinged tortoise shell on the bottom part, most likely might be just a little bit weaker than, say, a larger leopard tortoise. I'm not sure. Cheetah, you're curious to know if her jaw would get tired chewing on this. So she has not been chewing the whole time. You'll see that she does a lot of licking and then sort of some side chewing there. Sorry for the vehicle noise in the background. We've got another vehicle that's with us in the sighting. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's a possibility, but their jaws are very strong. So I think part of resting that jaw is doing that licking that you're seeing there. I'm just going to give that other vehicle a minute just to head off. Kristen, you're curious to know if tortoise shells are harder than terrapin shells, and it's really interesting. Vildy and I were also talking about this because he has seen, you said a terrapin, hey Vildy? Yeah, a lioness with a terrapin biting through. My thought is that yes, it is softer because they spend more time in the water. So tortoises are land dwelling, terrapins are freshwater dwelling, and then turtles are sea dwelling, and turtle shells tend to be much softer with the seawater there, so my guess would be yes. Now it's very interesting right now, we've been seeing the adult lionesses get a little bit more active and staring in one direction. We've also been hearing a lot of squirrels and birds going. Part of that has to do with the Wahlberg's eagle that's been flying around, but I'm not quite sure where James is with Tingana, and with the way that the wind is blowing, I would be interested to know if he's possibly not far from us. There's also a possibility that maybe there's another type of predator around. We're definitely going to stay with the Nkuhumas. I'm not going to leave the Nkuhumas until the show's out unless for some reason I absolutely have to. There's too much happening and going on. Ooh, Tingana is down by the drainage line at Chitwa, they tell me. So, nope, he's far from us. Could be something else. Could be that they're hearing the alarm calls from the squirrels and the birds and just having a listen. Maybe they've picked up the scent of potential prey. Maybe there's another leopard wandering around that we just have not seen nor heard. We're just going to have to wait and see. There's a lot happening here. Can we hear the squirrels in the background? Of course, as I say that, they stop. Might be a little bit too far off. There's also a possibility that I didn't mention, maybe one of the males is coming through. The last time we saw one of the Birmingham males was when they went south from Twin Dams into Little Gallery with Tristan before he went on leave. So it's possible that maybe they're coming back into the area. It's all guesstimates now until we can figure out, until we see something, or until the lionesses do any sort of behavior that might help me figure out what's going on. Daniel, super interesting question. Is there an alpha female? So Daniel, I've worked with many different lion prides, and each pride I've worked with has had a different setup. There was a pride I was working with last year who had a definite female that was the most dominant female. I've worked with prides where there's been sisters of the same age and they all swap out. I've worked with prides where it's always the eldest. Every one I've worked with is different. It's not like with wild dogs, African painted wolf, where there's an alpha male and an alpha female and they're the only ones that mate and she's in charge, etc., etc. It's not like that. Or like with wolves would be similar. It's a little bit different than lions, and it also is personality based and skill based. So with that pride I was talking about that had a really dominant female, she was the most skilled. She wasn't the oldest, but she was definitely the most skilled and had the biggest personality, and so they tended to lean towards her leadership. So it's very dependable on all of those factors. Now our Wahlberg's eagle just flew by quickly, so I have a feeling that a lot of the squirrel noises we were hearing are because of that Wahlberg's eagle. It's about the third or fourth time that it's flown past. Ooh, bless you. I just want to check quickly on our little lioness, our little teenage lioness that is busy on this tortoise shell. I'm still amazed that she's managed to get in there. And of course there's one little branch in the way, of course. Alright, I believe James is still with Tingana, so let's head back to him and get another one of our beautiful big cats for you to view.
Main road, in which case there's going to be complete chaos with people trying to see him. Oh, we're live. There we are. That was nice and quick. Okay, there he is. He's just wandering through the bushes there. I think he's going back onto the Gari main road. Beautiful pictures of our prince moving along through the bushes. Let's try and get back in there now. Not sure how many people are coming to or from this sighting. Anyway, never mind. We'll enjoy him. There he goes. It's not the best shot of him, but I think it's better than we've had for a little while. He's got his tail up in his I mean no harm posture. I think surrender would be too strong a word to describe the pose, but it is a sort of peace sign, if you like. I come in peace. We move around here, much bushes. Watch out, Fergus. Watch out, everybody. Don't hang about outside the car. Now, Marisha, you're saying, who do I think is likely to challenge Tingana in the future? We're just going to do a bit of off-roading here. Marisha, I think that... Ooh, no, we're not. We're not in a Land Rover. I think you'll find that he will be challenged... it's possible by Tambo or Hosana. I kind of hope that that isn't the case, though, because, of course, they are his offspring. But they are two males coming into their own, and you know, in 2 years' time or so, they are going to be pretty prime males, and when that occurs, they're not going to really care where they live, but most importantly, in 2 years' time, he's going to be starting to sort of decline in mass, and his ability to fight them off will be sort of fairly vastly reduced by 2 years' time. Here we get a nice view of him. No, we won't. There's a car coming. There we go. There we get a nice view of him coming now. Oh, he's turned round. How wonderful. No, don't don't do that. Now he's going to have a little sleep. me move back in that way. I'm not sure how much time we're going to have here, everyone. It does sound like there is a fairly excitable group of people coming this way. He's just in here. Alright, we're not going to have too much time here. Oh, there we go, we're actually okay. Lots of people leaving. Sorry. There we go. There we go. There we are. Hello, fella. Just trying to get a slightly better view of him. There we go. Hello, boy. Now, for me, it's when you get up close to a leopard like this that their detail and their colour and their finery, I suppose, is at its most exquisite. And so seldom is it ever scuffed or marked in any way. Now, Philip, you ask a good question. You say, does Hosana have to then lay low for 2 years before he can take the territory? Well, yes, in theory, for at least 2 years, because he's not yet 2 years old. A 4 or 5 year old male leopard would still struggle to take over a territory from something this size. I mean, this chap is highly experienced. He's also very, well, I mean, he's a good size. He's a fully grown male leopard, and he knows how to look after a territory. So it is much more likely what will happen is that he will head off, and Hosana, I mean, will head off away from his natal territory when his sort of adolescence kicks in for real. But if he does hang around here, Tingana's probably got another 2 years, maybe 3 years as the dominant male here, at which point both Tamba and Hosana will be round about the right age. I don't think it's their presence that's making him so sort of vociferous and enthusiastic about his territory marking. I'm pretty sure it's the incursion of Djuma from the north, which might also, of course, be pushing Mvula further down here. Mvula has gone into retirement in Buffelshoek. Mvula is another male leopard, for those of you who don't know, but older than Tingana, and he kind of gave up being a territorial male and just decided he'd live as a leopard without a home. Okay, let's try and catch up with him. Ooh, he's going towards that enormous termite mound there. That's quite exciting. Alright, we're going to keep up with him, try and get another great view. While we do that, Noel is just still with the lions, and maybe they'll get up and do something soon.
We're getting more and more movement. Our adult lionesses are up and down little by little. Lions are like diesel engines. They need a while to get going. They get up, they lie down, they get up, they lie down. Our little lioness with her tortoise is now being covered by two of the young males, trying to get access to her prize, but doing so in a very submissive way, and sort of pretending that they're not interested, but being actually quite interested. Yes, he's going to be a big boy. He's beautiful. Okay, good question, Vildi. Can we go to maybe this female that's here by this log and just zoom in there? So Jake, just like with leopard, lions have whisker marks that are unique to them. So you can see the top line of whiskers there, and then just above the top line there's a couple of dots. She has one very distinctive dark dot. That'll be unique to her, just the same as with leopards. And so the left and the right patterning, the number of dots dictates the actual individual. I just want to quickly just reposition our car. These lionesses are grooming and yawning and interacting with each other a little bit. It's really quite beautiful. We've got just a titch of light still from the sun. Oh, you're having a wee right next to her. Well done. And then we're going to lie in it. Remember, just like diesel engines. I can hear some brown-headed parrots calling in the background. I don't know if you all can hear that. Cheep, cheep, cheep. And there we go. Thanks, Vildi. If she just turns her head to the left again, or there we are. So just above the top whisker line, you can see that this particular female, has 3 on the right-hand side, whereas the other female just had the 1. And so you would take the left and the right both together. And then it would be sort of a 3-1 or a 2-1. I will try to remember tomorrow to bring my pen and paper and draw it a little bit for you. James has managed to get a wonderful visual of Tingana on top of a termite mound. Let's head back to him for this stunning view.
There's a beautiful shot there of a creeper that we're going to look at. Oh, but what's behind the creeper, Fergus? Oh, it's Tingana the male leopard. Hello, Tingana. He's back onto Chitwa. He's climbed up a termite mound. He's just surveying his domain to see if there's anybody brave enough to call back at him or give him any kind of trouble whatsoever. It's a wonderful shot there of Djuma's most dominant male leopard, and Chitwa's apparently. And slowly the night is starting to fall. Calls of the cuckoo, Birchel's cuckoo. Need to change the radio channel. It's driving me insane. There we go. Silence prevails. There's a nice shot there of his 5 spots. You can see 2 joined, and then 2 in front, and then 1 just above that. So for those of you who are wondering, when we say he's a 5-5 male, his spot pattern is 5-5. On his right, our left, he's got 5 spots. Just above his whiskers, you can see he's got 4, and then 1 tiny little one. Then on the other side, he's also got 5. That's why he's called a 5-5 male. There you can see the other 5. And now the birds have spotted him, and there's a woodland kingfisher shouting at him. You can see how deeply concerned he is by the woodland kingfisher. Joy, you said, do they get ear mites? They certainly get ticks in their ears, Joy. I don't know about specific ear mites that might get into their ears, but they get lots of ticks in there, definitely. I imagine there must be mites and things inside them. But you know, unlike your dog or your cat at home, these guys have got a much better natural immunity to the diseases and parasites and parasitoids I don't know the difference between a parasite and a parasitoid. I better find out. But to all of the things that might cause disease and sickness, they have a hugely more impressive immunity than our domestic animals do. Well, Joanna, you're very lucky, but you say Tingana is magnificent, but Anderson will always be your favourite. I've never seen the Anderson male, Joy. I have seen pictures of him, and I would agree that he's a spectacular-looking creature. But bias and home bias precludes me from finding Anderson more attractive than Tingana. The Anderson male, I think, is larger than Tingana. And it's interesting, Tingana is thought of, anyone who sees him, they say he's an enormous male leopard. But he isn't. He's a good-sized male leopard, but he's no bigger than one would expect him to be. But you can see how grizzled his face is. He's been in many fights, this fellow, and he's won them all by virtue of the fact that he's here. And he's won them all for many years. You can hear all the birds calling around him. Magnificent leopard. But apparently, there's a very strange link. We're going to go across to Noel, who is apparently tearing up the tortoise. Interesting.
We have managed to stick with these lions, of course, because they've been so sleepy and lazy, and our little lioness has managed to get a big enough hole that she's actually getting the inside of the tortoise out. Everyone, absolutely amazing. My first time, again, seeing them actually get all the way in, and she's been so dogged with this tortoise. Just listen. Sorry, every time I say that, then she stops doing it. But you can hear her with her carnassial shears, with her molars, really getting into the sides there. And then just now she managed to get just a little bit of the meat, and she was sort of sucking it up, a bit like spaghetti. There. Look at that. There, could we hear that? Serious crunching going on. Now, the bit she was able to get out obviously was free from where she's already chewed, so now she's trying to chew more of it off to be able to get to more of the meat. And still keeping it. Ooh, we've got one of the siblings approaching. Let's see what happens. And you hear arrow-marked babblers in the background. And there's that submissive display that we spoke about earlier, the lying very flat. This one's being a bit more cheeky. Paw is up on a little bit of a stump that's just left, so she's hitting the tortoise a bit under her. Oh, sorry, it wasn't the tortoise, it was a little bit of elephant dung. She's hitting that a bit under just to get a bit of a better grip on that tortoise shell. Now she's trying with her front teeth. Her front teeth are not as strong. Oh, there, she's managed to just weasel out a little bit of meat. I don't know if you could see that there. And because she can feel that she's getting a little bit of the meat, she's just trying to reposition it again. Easier access. There we go. Now she's going to try from a different angle. It's tricky, her little snack that she's found. I'm still amazed that it's actually turned into a snack. Ryan, just remind me one more time. Mutrus is asking, what is difference between the lion, a lion tooth, and a crocodile tooth? Interesting, Mutrus. Well, they're both teeth. It's both dentine. Dentine, it's a type of ivory. Dentine similar to us. But a crocodile's jaw is much, much stronger than a lion's jaw. So the difference would lie more with the muscles in the jaw and the structure of the jaw, and the crocodile's ability to hinge it much wider open and have a larger torque coming down, as opposed to a lion's jaw, whose torque is not as heavy. The spotted hyena and the brown hyena, of the predators that we see, have a stronger torque in their jaw. The hyena has the large, she's getting little bits in and out, and there she's licking it up kind of like spaghetti. Has the strongest jaw of any land mammal. And then for us, the crocodile probably has the strongest jaw of any of the reptiles that we see, as far as I would know, but I could stand corrected. And then a hippo's jaw, a hippo being somewhat aquatic, is also quite strong. Cheetah does help being submissive. Basically, when the other siblings / cousins are being submissive in a scenario like this, they're allowing it so that it doesn't escalate into a scenario where they could possibly be injured by this little lioness, because she's going to actively defend her little snack. And so that's the submissive part of it. If they wanted to be more dominant, they would be actively aggressive and showing sort of power over that female, but she has the upper hand. She's got her little kill. So part of that submissive also with these youngsters is going like, please feed me, please share. Now see, that one sees an opportunity. Let's see what happens. Look at the ears back by the female, flat against the head, showing annoyance. Kaylin, you're wondering if she swallows pieces of that tortoise shell, will it cause digestive issues? Most definitely. She'll either cough it back up, sort of like domestic cats do with a hairball, or it will come out in the dung as whole pieces. That shell is made out of heavy bits of keratin, very similar to your fingernails and your hair, but very, very thick, so it'd be difficult. I once watched a big male lion chewing on the cartilage around the shoulder blades of a big giraffe, and he couldn't digest that. He vomited it back up shortly after. Daniel, interesting question. You're asking about the eye color of lions. Are they all orange? Daniel, most lions have a golden tinge, and that can range from up to amber down to a very pale yellow. So each individual will have a certain shade amongst those colors, very similar to humans having different color eyes. And then you'll get white lions, not albinos, but white. That's a type of leucism, which is a lack of pigmentation, and they have blue eyes. She keeps trying to move and find a place that's better suited for her to eat her snack away from the others, particularly that that one that was trying so hard. This other young male, although I'm sure he's interested, does not seem to be as interested as the first one, and so she's feeling a bit more comfortable over there. Can just see a bit of the foot of that tortoise. Alright, oh look, she's really getting in there. Have a look, everybody. She's managed to get her jaws underneath, and she grooms herself a little bit. You can see her able to pry open a little bit of that shell. Now, while we're busy waiting to see if she gets all the way in, let's head back to James with our beautiful Tingana.
Right, here we are again with beautiful Tingana, where he is still sitting on his termite mound, completely relaxed. Now, if he'd carried on going along the drainage line that we started walking along with him on, he'd have come across a fairly large male warthog that was sitting oblivious on some very nice green grass. But he moved out of that area and came up here. And basically, just to orientate you, we are sitting just to the south and east of the Chitwa Dam. And so he's looking down off the top of his termite mound down towards the Chitwa Dam, and obviously all the activity that goes on in the clearings at this time of the day. Very subtle pinkish colours there, just touching the sky. Not much of a sunset we had today, as the weather moves in from the south and west. It's been an absolutely gorgeous afternoon though. I'm just going to sneak slightly forward because Fergus is getting irritated with that piece of grass. Now, Jania, you're asking an interesting one. How's that, Fergus? A bit more. Yeah? Okay. Jania, you're saying, would Quarantine try and take his territory? Now, there's a prospect. Quarantine, for those of you who don't know, of course, is, how old is he about to be? He must be about to be, he was born 2013, was it? So I think he's 4 now. Might actually be, it couldn't be 2012, surely. Anyway, he's 4 or 5. Haven't seen him for a long time. He is about to become territorial, and he may already be. And I mean, we know that he has mated already at his young and tender years, a bit of a Mrs. Robinson situation we had on Cheetah Plains. He and Inkanyeni, no spring chicken she is, and they certainly mated. Whether it resulted in a pregnancy or not, I'm not sure. But he's certainly come into his early adulthood. And so, could he take this territory? Yes, potentially, not yet. This leopard is still too dominant. Quarantine would take him on at his peril. But Quarantine could take his brother's territory, and he seems to be a bit heftier than his brother. Shivambalana is his brother, of course. And Shivambalana lives just to the east of us, sort of Cheetah Plains area and into the Kruger National Park, and I think Quarantine is trying to sandwich himself a piece of territory between Tinganas and between Shivambalanas. Now Paula, no, I haven't. You say, have I ever seen a leopard share his or her territory? Not with another adult. Now, even leopards who are quite close to each other, and Shadow and Karula used to see each other fairly regularly, but they used to spit at each other, and they weren't very happy when they saw each other. At Londolozi there was an interesting situation where a wonderful old leopard called the 3-4 female, who very much reminded me of Karula, she used to hang around pretty close by to one of her daughters, and she actually adopted a cub from one of her daughters once. And so while they didn't share the same territory, they certainly were closer to each other than, say, most or than unrelated leopards are. But no, I mean, to find 2 adult males in a territory would be extremely unusual. I mean, that said, Mvula has survived in this chap's territory, and I think he's survived on the fringes of this chap's territory, and I think he's also managed to find a kind of almost unoccupied wedge of land. That's Mvula I'm talking about. And so while, yes, I suppose technically they shared similar areas, Tingana and Mvula was not marking territory anymore. Do you agree with that, Tingana? Do you think that that is a fairly accurate representation of what's happened? Joanna, you're wondering about my favourite Tingana sighting. I'm trying to think of one now. I've spent a lot of time with this leopard doing exactly what he's doing now. sitting on a termite mound and snoozing. I don't think I've seen him hunt. And I wasn't on the... I mean, it would have been the one that we had on our interview drive with Steve the other day, where Tingana and Hosana were in the same sighting. That was hilarious. I think, you know what, I had a wonderful sighting once with him. It was just Viam and I and this leopard, and kind of quintessential perfect light, and no one else with us, away from any roads or vehicles or lodges or any infrastructure. And we sat with him for, I don't know, 2 hours or so, as he walked up and down, climbed on termite mounds, and just looked regal. And I suppose the what should I say? I suppose the energy of that sighting was just great for me. It was calm and regal and just very inspiring. So that's going to be my favourite Tingana sighting. I've seen him mating, of course, every so often. I always feel a little bad at watching these animals mate, you know. Such a private thing for us, but yet when animals do it, we gawk at them as if it's a completely unprivate thing, which I suppose it is for them. They don't seem to mind. Now, sand colour, you're wondering if Tingana knows that his name is Tingana. I think that he thinks his name is George. Certainly, you know, if I was to say George quite loudly, what he would do is look towards us. And why he thinks his name's George, I don't know. But Tingana he seems to be slightly confused about. It might be that he doesn't speak Shangaan very well. That's entirely possible. I'm obviously talking nonsense. These animals don't know what their names are. Absolutely they don't. And this is what amuses me so much when we start to name them. You know, when I suggested that we call Shadow's new cub Barbara, Twitter broke for 4 days. It was meant purely as a small, badly timed joke. And the point is that Barbara doesn't really care, which is not her name. Her name is not Barbara. Let me just make that very clear. These animals don't care what they're called, of course, but for us it's important, and it's because it gives us an attachment to them. And you know, I came from an environment where you didn't name leopards. Well, in theory you didn't, so you'd call them after their territories. So we had the Clara Dam female, and she was a sort of very like Karula type leopard that we had around a place called Angama, where Herbert and I both worked. And it wasn't very long before people stopped calling her the Clara Dam female and just Clara. And the reason that we were given that we weren't allowed to give them names, because calling her the Clara Dam female wasn't giving her a name, it was just naming kind of her, was because we didn't want people to feel that they were tame, that it took away in some way from the wilderness of the animals that we saw. And I used to buy into that completely. I now think it's nonsense. And I think that the more attached people become to these animals, of course, and this is why the naming thing is so important, the more attached they become to these animals and the characters that they are, as so many of you have, of course, the more you're going to talk about them, the more aware people are going to become about them, and therefore the greater their chances of survival into the future are. And as Graham Wallington pointed out to me once, the ultimate example of that, Cecil the lion. If that lion's name was not Cecil, if it had just been lion male number 1 of the Hwange West Pride, no one would have known about it. It would never have exploded like it did on social media. So I think the naming of these animals is important. Not to them, of course. They couldn't care less. Well, they don't know to care less. Also, of course, we know that cats are very bad at knowing their names. My mother's cat doesn't know her name. I don't think. She might just be insolent and refusing to acknowledge it. I wonder, however, you know what, if you kind of raised a cub, I wonder if it would know its name. I suspect it would. Alrighty, we'll sit with them for just a little bit longer. While we do that, let's go back to those lions and find out if they're getting up.
So she's still at it. She's still managing to get little by little by little, pulling it out bit by bit. And her sibling is ever creeping forward and then grooming herself in the process. And then I just want to move a little bit because we've got one of the adult lionesses is busy having a drink, and I just want to see if we can possibly get a visual of her drinking out of this beautiful little water hole, or mud pan I should say rather. Let's see if she'll let us view her. As I sneak through the bushes here. Oh, no, she decided not to let us, but that's okay. We still have a gorgeous visual of the whole pride out in the open. All the whole pride except for that one female and her tortoise. Bit of a greeting ritual there. And just meticulously grooming. So they've probably gotten up and gotten down and gotten up and gotten down about 10 times now, all within sort of a 10-meter radius of the spots, so about 30 foot roughly. I did my math there correctly. Maybe I'm missing a zero. So they are definitely going to be properly moving shortly. I'll be interested to see if they do start moving now. Oh, Shane, look at this little male. He's got beautiful eyes. Very curious about us. I'll be interested to see if that little female takes her tortoise with or leaves it behind. We'll have to wait and see if they start moving while you are still with us. You can see all the bit of fur and the different colorations around the ear, the neck, the shoulder. Very, very fuzzy inside of the ears. Down into what's left of the spots. And still breathing quite heavily. It was warm. Well, look, it was warm in general, but again, completely covered in fur, so their warmth is the warmth of today is a lot more for them than it is for us. Now, I was hoping for a little bit of movement left from these guys, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I think let's just reverse and just go do our last few minutes with our cheeky little lioness that has the tortoise, which is busy reversing through some trees here. So just give me a couple of seconds. I don't want to knock Vildy off the back. That would be bad. All right. We will just meander. Vildy, tell me when you think we're in a good spot. There we are. Perfect. All right. So she's still going at it. Her sibling has crept ever closer. They're almost touching. She's still trying to get to the best spot to get more of the meat out. This has to be one of my favorite sightings in the past week or so, I have to say. What an incredible afternoon we've had. Elephants, leopard, lion, tortoise kills, antelope. It's been absolutely amazing. It's been so much fun from all of us here at Djuma. It's been fun from Brent and Jamie up in the Mara as well. Don't forget tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock our time. I think it'll be myself and maybe Ralph out, but we'll have to wait and see. I think let's just see if we can get one last look of our little lioness with the tortoise. Thank you all so much for joining, and thank you from all the camera crew, FC, all the presenters. You must have a wonderful evening.